my pleasure to call to order the regular council meeting of the Village of Cache Creek this January 20th, 2025. There being no delegations listed on the agenda, we have minutes of the January 6th regular council meeting. Could I have a motion to adopt as circulated?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. And we have the January 13th special council meeting minutes. Could I have a motion to adopt as circulated?
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. There having been no delegations, I'm assuming there won't be any business arising from them. Any business arising from the minutes? Seeing none, committee reports, economic development, Councillor Dubois.
I'd like to make a motion that council give permission to have a produce kiosk in front of the Visitor Information Center.
Second.
Any discussion? Councillor Dubois.
I didn't see it in there. Who would be responsible for insurance on the truck and stuff like that?
I think the truck would fall under the insurance of the Visitor Information Center operations, and they're a subsidiary of our insurance.
And,
So us. Long story short.
and the next question I have is how are they going to get the produce for it?
Their plan, they have a plan to deal with a bunch of local vendors, and also try some different ways to secure produce. I don't know the full details, but she has a fairly complex plan of attack.
I reached out with a concern as to whether they had worked at all with the Auger project or the food bank, and they are working with the food bank on this project. The food bank is actually very excited about it, and they will be issuing, if it goes through, the food bank recipients would get vouchers to come and get produce from the bank as part of their food bank boxes, and they will be generic vouchers that are used for all of the info center stuff that they do, so there's no stigma attached to it or anything. It will be distributed. So that was my concern.
I'm assuming that that there's a charge for the produce, and that the vendors make money on the deal. Mm-hmm. And I was just concerned about the free use of the community hall from September to May, twice a month or whatever it is, which is not an awful lot of use. But normally in the past, what's happened is if it's a for-profit business, we generally charged for the community hall in some manner, and I know it's the basement meeting room they're proposing to use, which is not expensive. Mm-hmm. And so I'm reluctant to support this as worded. I'm happy to support the kiosk in the front of the Visitor Information Center, but I'm concerned about the village hall being used as a profit generator for vendors without any charge being made. Councillor Dubois.
Well, I'd just like to say that the actual operator of the Visitor Information Center is a not-for-profit, so they're the one that are coordinating this. So I think that given that nature and the fact that they are a not-for-profit, that I'm quite okay with that. It'd be like anything else, they have to source their materials from some vendor, so there's always a profit going to be happening when they're sourcing, so I'm okay with that. They're already doing that type of stuff similar inside of the VIC, so I don't think that that's that big of a deal from my point of view.
Thank you, Councillor Peters.
Yeah, I also kind of toyed with that as being a member of a nonprofit who does pay user fees at the hall. However, the whole goal of this is to provide low cost fruits and vegetables and products that someone might not be able to afford to get from one of our vendors, local vendors in town or from the grocery store. And so from the food sustainability side of it, to me, that's an important item that as a society, I think we need to be responsible for and help with, and that's what I will support.
Thank you.
My understanding of the project, and I'm not sure if it was worded well enough in the letter, but through talking with Kat, my understanding is the purpose of the project is primarily food security, and the intent is that any profits derived from the program would be used to fund the the food security side of it. So theoretically, I think the intent is to try and find external funding for the first little bit of the program in order to be able to do that first securement of goods and that sort of thing. But then ultimately, like you or I could go and purchase stuff for regular price, but somebody that isn't able to afford it could go get a voucher, get the stuff for free, and then the people that are purchasing are offsetting the cost of goods for the people that are getting them for free, long-term for the program, I think is the intent. It's my understanding at least. Yeah.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Ranta?
Well, I really wanna support it, I'm just a little concerned about the, like, competition piece, like having local people maybe not buying from Desert Hills or Horstein's or other places in the local area and going to this instead. But I know that within the village boundaries of Couch Creek that there's very limited opportunity for people that don't have a vehicle to get healthy food. And I think that kind of is a higher priority than worrying about people that are already shopping elsewhere. I think the loyalty to some of those places that I mentioned is pretty high. So I think this is really important. I think there's quite a few links in research between food, the opportunity to have healthy food at a low cost and people's health. And I think to be a healthy person in Cache Creek, if you don't drive or if you don't get out shopping outside of the community is difficult. So I think I'll support this.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? I'm the only one again. Onward.
If I
Yeah.
I just have a couple of questions. I'm not sure how our economic development officers fund, may I ask? If you could share.
The economic development our coordinator is funded through a grant that we received last year. We hadn't spent all the funds so far because normally, so it's a 2-year program. The program is supposed to finish in April or May of this year, but we haven't spent all the funds. We estimate that there's enough funds to do a full another calendar year. So we applied to the province, the ones giving us the funds, to see if we could carry over that amount and continue the project in the same capacity, doing the same thing just for another year, and they just recently gave us approval to extend it. So theoretically, we have a CDC until the spring of next year, paid for entirely by the province.
And have we looked at funding to continue that program? Because I know NDAT has an economic development
Yes.
package. Funding, I think, opens now.
Yeah,
in
and
January.
so we've kept an eye on that. The one thing though, we didn't want to double up funding, funding requests for the same thing.
Yeah.
We were keeping an eye out, and we were going to be, if we weren't approved for that last, to extend the application, we would have been bringing the NDIT grant to council for approval to apply for the same thing. So likely next year, this time next year, we would be coming to council saying, hey, here's the NDIT program, we'd like to extend it.
And then my second question is, I have an NDIT meeting tomorrow, that's why I'm asking these questions. We had applied and received funding for the business facade program. Did we have any uptake in any applications for that?
No.
That's really bad. Okay.
And we've also noticed development in the community that has occurred since then, and in places that we had informed them, and they chose not to participate. So I'm not sure why.
Maybe lack of understanding of the program or something?
I don't know.
Because there's great uptake. Hammermount makes huge use of that program, so.
Yeah, we didn't have any applicants. Zero.
Thank you. Anything further under economic development? Seeing none, budget and administrative services. I would move that in light of the fact we're getting to the time for preparation of the annual budget, I would move that staff organize a committee meeting for the Budget and Administrative Services Committee in the foreseeable future.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Councillor Ranta?
Well, I think it's important that the committee kind of assists the council by preparing a little bit of the, like, assisting staff with the kind of preloading of the budget, development. And, one of the things I'm hoping that we can get at this year is looking at the reserve funds and kind of assessing changes, because I think for the last year or two have really intended that, the reserve funds don't really reflect properly the priorities of council right now. And there's some funds that may not align with the future directions regarding the strategic plan. So I think this is hopefully something we can get at as well. And I know that that's quite a bit of work, but hopefully we can accomplish it either this year or even for next year. I think it would be really interesting to see that change, so anyway.
I have something to say. Right now I am working on getting ready for the audit that is going to start in about 2 weeks. So I'm doing final adjustments and really working with the reserves. So right now nothing is quite clear of where we stand because I'm having adjustments almost on a daily basis. But yeah, having strategic direction coming from the council would be great for us to kind of align the budget, because other than that, like the operating budget is literally how much is the insurance and everything that we need to operate, which is quite clear, and I don't need to have council permission to do that because insurance is insurance. BC Hydro is BC Hydro and so on, and then we have the capital projects, which we have the grants, and I know kind of how to deal with that, but if there are any other initiatives that the council would like to see, that would be really nice for the council to come up with those directions.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Bylaw and policy review, Councillor Anta?
Just so everyone's clear, we have a meeting on February 3rd in the afternoon before the committee of the whole meeting.
Thank you. And on to Public Works, Councillor Deaver?
Yeah, we're just about done everything with the union negotiations that have been ongoing for a little while, and we're hoping to have the agreement finalized in the next coming weeks.
Thank you. On to Healthcare and Protective Services, Councillor Anta?
I emailed out the council members the latest Interior Health kind of newsletter, and it was interesting to read in there that the Interior Health region has a much higher use of alcohol, number of drinks per month and per year than other health regions. I just thought that was kind of an interesting fact. The other thing that I think needs to happen is that there still are people in our community that don't understand or know about the UPCC in Ashcroft, and I'm wondering if we could communicate with Interior Health to tell them that their communication really isn't working for adequately for the people in Cache Creek, because I think that there are quite a few people that know about it, but if there are some that don't, and it's kind of alarming after all the length of time that it's been open, and how really useful it is in some medical situations. So I don't know if the council would be interested in writing a letter to Interior Health saying that there just needs to be a little more of a public face on UPCC.
I think you should put it in the form of a motion, and then something might actually happen.
Alright, well, I'll move that the Village of Cache Creek Council write Interior Health and request increased public awareness for the UPCC in our area.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second.
Discussion? Councillor Ziebert, or Dubois, sorry.
Perhaps rather than in our area, in Cache Creek specifically, just because I think they do stuff maybe in Ashcroft and stuff, but I'm not seeing anything on any of the local bulletin boards or anything like that, so that's the only comment that I would have in regards to the motion.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Emergency Management, Councillor Peters.
Nothing at this time?
Parks and Recreation, Councillor Anta.
No, nothing.
Landfill Advisory Committee, there are a couple of items. Associated Engineering Post-Closure Report. I move that we receive and file the Associated Engineering Review of 2024 Post-Closure Activities.
Second?
Discussion? Councillor Dubois.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Well, they start with the same letter, eh? You gotta
I did that on
forgive me.
purpose. That's like when we didn't sit on the same sides. I was wondering, within the report, it doesn't specifically say that they reviewed the value of the budget. They basically said, the operator of the landfill basically said, this is what it's gonna cost, and there was no review of those costs to validate the value of those costs. And as an organization that has a fiduciary responsibility, it would be interesting to see if that is something that perhaps we could ask Waste Tech if they could comment on, if that was part of this and maybe I'm missing how it's being read in this, and or if that's something that we could see incorporated into further reviews in the future.
I kind
Councillor
of
Peters.
understood in their summary on page, I'm sorry. At the end, it has a item 2.3, opinion on 2025 post-closure budget. It says that they're of the opinion that the budget reflects activities consistent with the requirements of the 2022.
But not the costing of them. It's just to me, activities is different than cost. Activities is they're doing what they need to do.
But a budget is the cost.
Once again, I don't see the validation of those numbers, and maybe I'm splitting hairs, but when I see reports like this and I know how engineers write, typically they're very specific when they write these types of reports. If they say they're doing it, then they're doing it. If they don't, I don't like to assume.
Thank you. Anything further on the post-closure report? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. And the post-closure cost care statement on page 15, I would move that we receive and file.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. TNRD and Intergovernmental Liaison. There's a meeting coming up this week. Cache Creek Community Fund, Councillor Dubois.
Nothing at this time.
Staff reports, November, December payments. I would move that we receive and file the report regarding November and December 2024 payments made by the village office. Discussion? Councillor Peters?
I have a couple of questions. I'm assuming that the amounts for Acres, Construction Re, and True Engineering are flood related.
Yes.
And then my other question is, we have hydrovac fees of more than $35,000. I'm just wondering what that's for.
That is for the project, for the centrifuge.
Okay.
So we are having a capital project that to install a centrifuge, and so that vac was just to kind of allow us to install and put in the installation and kind of.
It was higher than we normally see, so that's what I
Yeah,
wanted.
that's why. That's why, because we didn't have any sort of watering instrument in the interim.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. And the bylaw quarterly report. I would move that we receive and file the quarterly report.
Second?
Any discussion? Councillor Dubois.
I'm just curious, there, I believe it's 2 instances of, not building code, just trying to find the wording that he uses. My apologies.
No problem, take your time.
Zoning, sorry.
Zoning.
So I'm curious what types of activities those would refer to. Is that people building without the appropriate permits, or?
I'm just gonna quickly look to make sure, because it's just referred to in here, right?
Yes.
So I'm trying to remember the files, because there was 2 of them, I think, in the quarter. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
One carried over and one new, so I presume the one new is,
And then one was resolved.
They wouldn't be
Yes.
actual building, they would be things like, under his purview would be things like fences or those kinds of things.
Yeah, I know one for sure is a fence.
Yeah,
Just off the top of my head. I'm trying to remember what the other one is. But yeah, it would be something, somebody's doing something that they're not allowed to based on zoning.
Okay.
And usually fences is the single most common one. Another one is use not allowed in that space, like types of dwellings and stuff like that that are in a space that aren't allowed.
somebody doing business in a residential.
Doing business in residential. Well, you can do home-based business in residential, but maybe something that isn't quite home-based, a little bit beyond that. Yeah, so that'd be an example, contravention of the zoning bylaw.
And what would be an example of something captured under other?
So in there, cause we have, I think we have 21 ticketable bylaws, and we have all the main ones in there, but there's some other ones that are weird outliers. And I'm trying to remember, cause he has so many, I can't remember all of them, and I don't know specifically which one he categorized as other. It would be something that didn't fall in there, but nothing's coming to mind off the top of my head. I could ask and send a message back to everyone.
Could you perhaps on the, at the bottom of this, say, like delineate what the others were, and the zoning for that matter, just so that council's aware of what they are? Just out of the rest are very self-explanatory, so.
Oh, I see. So like a dog complaint is pretty.
So if it was a
Straightforward.
zoning, fence height violation or something, just a simple
Yeah, just like
1
a
or 2 words.
below everything that said like zoning is stuff. Well, the concern is it might be too granular in a small community, that it would identify where the place of issue is. Just depends on what it is, especially in other, because like those are all the main categories. But something that's a weird outlier that somebody would be in contravention
Perhaps
of.
a second report that happened in closed.
Maybe, yeah. Could be something like that.
Thank you.
well, perhaps you could speak with the bylaw officer and ask him to delineate exactly what those issues are and put it on a future agenda. Would that work for everybody? Thank you. On the motion then to receive and file the quarterly report, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. Incoming correspondence, School District 74. Councillor Ranta.
Just in addition to the information in the newsletter, I just want to highlight kind of a fun fact that the Cash Creek Elementary Parent Advisory Council is back up and running, and yeah, it's wonderful. They kind of went through a little slump up during and after COVID, and this year looks really great. I haven't been able to attend any of the meetings, but it looks really active and vibrant and kind of reactivated, so that's really excellent. The other thing is that the school districts in the region have a really good relationship with NBIT and Merit, and I know that for this year, NBIT offered free first-year tuition for any graduating students coming to their institution. And I thought that was really significant, and it just kind of shows how much dedication is going into the students in the region, and their opportunities are really opening up. You'll see on the newsletter that one of the students is involved in the welding program at TRU. They have different trades programs that really support and encourage students in high school to become certified in a trade, and that was really great to see too. It's really good to hear when kids are working on their, like, towards tipping even in grade 11, and these are really excellent programs that we're grateful to be connected with. So.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to receive and file the correspondence items?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Any new business?
Well, sorry, I should have mentioned this. I thought we would be talking about the outgoing correspondence, even though there doesn't appear to be any.
Yeah, there isn't any.
I just, number one, I think I happened to notice a newsletter, a Cache Creek newsletter, and I just want to say that it was great to see, and just hoping we can
Continue quarterly.
Yeah, I think the newsletter is important to at least some people, and particularly to me as well. So just thank you for the newsletter.
Thank you. Councillor Peters.
I would just like to invite everyone to join the first responders in the area on Saturday at the Ashcroft Arena for the annual Guns and Hoses hockey game. If you're on Facebook, you've seen some of the videos that they do about the competition between the RCMP and the fire department. I think they're tied right now as to who's won the trophy. I think RCMP had it twice and the fire department's had it twice, and so we're interested to see
The
what's
rubber
gonna,
match.
Yeah, a rubber match. There will be 30-70 draws, raffles, a puck drop, and all the funds raised during this game will go towards the Ashcroft Hub Society to help them with their costs that they're facing pretty huge, substantial costs on getting their roof and HVAC done, and
Yeah.
so all the funds will be raised at the event will be going to that. Lions will be there helping sell tickets, and we hope to see everybody there. It's a fun night.
Thank you. Other new business? Seeing none. Questions from the public? Seeing none. Questions from the press?
Nope.
Thank you. We have need of a closed session pursuant to section 90.1 and 90.2 of the Community Charter. I have a motion to that effect. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Brief break.
Where'd my dog go?